You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome.
Good morning, CSL. Kauai is where I'm at, and lovely to be with you in St. George, Utah today. I'm hoping you can hear me because I could not hear the music. Can someone come in and maybe say that you can hear me?
We got you, Steph.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I couldn't hear the music. All right. So, welcome to Centers for Spiritual Living in St. George. Our purpose is to love, teach, guide, and support a spiritual community in creating and living a life they love using science of mind, spirit, principles, and practices. Our vision is Centers for Spiritual Living St. George is a community-focused center, actively living, sharing, and nurturing its members and friends so that all may live their very best lives. And our mission in St. George is an open and inclusive and evolving spiritual community that supports its purpose and vision through sacred wisdom, celebrations, empowering transformation, transformative education, youth and young adult programs, dynamic music ministry, community inreach, and community outreach. Today's service team, yay, we have Tony Kovach as the tech, and she's just doing really wonderful. I am your host, Stephanie Sterrett. Our reading is given by Anna Kanata. Our music, Alan Stanley. Our invocation by Sue Fulmer, who's a practitioner as I am. And our talk by our lovely Reverend Joe Kovach, who always has words of wisdom that just make us feel good for the whole week. Thank you. Okay, sticking the landing. We are the ones. Here we go. Alan Stanley.
Alan has landed. Hello, Steph. Aloha.
Aloha.
So we're going to sing a little bit, and then in the middle, Sue's going to come in and offer an invocational prayer. So please sing along. We've got the words up here just for you. Disregard any spelling that doesn't agree with Webster. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones who will make a difference. We are the ones who will change the world. We are the ones, we are the ones, we are. I've been feeling like I can't make a difference. Been feeling like there ain't no use. Feeling tired and a little unconscious, coming up with every kind of excuse. Till I realize it's not all up to me. When we join together, we shape our destiny. To see the world where we are living as one. It can be, it shall be, it will be done. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones who will make a difference. We are the ones who will change the world. We are the ones, we are. We are the ones, we are.
Thank you. Please join me in affirmative prayer where we speak in the present tense because we speak for all of us as one. And so I enter into this sacred moment of prayer in gratitude for this beautiful day, for this time and season of peace and harmony, love, and Christmas joy. And I recognize in all of that the Holy Spirit, the Spirit that dwells always with us, and the warmth and love that we feel coming from our home in heaven. And knowing heaven is a state of mind. And I move my mind into that place where we are all one together in joy, in peace. And I am grateful for this organization of CSL and our home, CSL St. George. I love the philosophy. I know that truth is among all pathways to the one, and that we honor all those truths. I am grateful today for those who are taking part in this service and knowing that their voices speak the truth. Their voices speak from the heart and reach those out into the ethers of this internet miracle to be able to hear and join with us in celebration on this Sunday service. I am in gratitude to our minister, knowing he is looking out for the very best for St. George CSL, and that we are actively looking for our permanent home, and we'll be filling those seats very soon. I know his words will be spoken from the heart and will give us guidance and direction and inspiration. I direct my word to the one, knowing it is beautiful, answered, and positively manifested. And together we say, and so it is.
So it is, Sue. Thank you. No one else gonna make the changes. No savior gonna drop from the sky. Nothing left to do but wake up, 'cause it's really up to you and I to take it one step at a time. Stand together with your hand in mine. Then we will see the world that we've been dreaming about. We need it now, the time is now, there ain't no doubt. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones who will make a difference. We are the ones who will change the world. We are the ones, we are the ones, we are. I am the one who will change the world. I am the one who will make a difference. I am the one we've been waiting for. I am the one, I am the one, I am the one, I am. Amen. Now we're going to bring Anna, and she's going to do the reading for us today. Hello, Anna. Check to make sure you're not muted. Well, we're going to have some sound here in just a minute. With that beautiful smile to carry us through, though. Well, we're going to get it.
momentary pause. So it's been happening all week, folks. I don't know about you, but technology has been crazy. So what I'm going to ask you to do is play the song that I know we normally play after her. That'll give her time. Anna, if you can hear me, I'm just going to ask you to just totally log out and log back in. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just not picking me up for some reason. And we will get to you after the song. How's that, Ellen?
That works great for me.
All right, on with the show. Go with the flow. That's the thing.
I got the power. I got the power to make all my dreams come true. I got the power. There's nothing I can't do. I got the power to be anything I want. I got the power inside of me. I've got the power inside of me. Every day I'm wasting my time thinking that someone else is gonna do it all for me. I got to get up, get out, and get started. Take one step toward my destiny. I'll define my direction, clear my intentions, declare what to be, and watch it come to me, because I got the power to do anything come true. I got the power, there's nothing I can't do. I got the power to be anything I want. I got the power inside of me. I got the power inside of me. There are days when I feel I'm just no good. Days when I couldn't even want to try. But when I stop, look, listen, and surrender, I hear a voice of truth that cannot deny. Now it says you know what to do. Just sit down and do it. Have faith in yourself and the will to see it through. Because I got the power to make all my dreams come true. I got the power, there ain't nothing I can't do. I got the power to be anything I want. I got the power inside of me. I got the power inside of me. I got the power to make all my dreams come true. I got the power, there's nothing I can't do. I got the power to be anything I want. I got the power inside of me. I got the power inside of me. In those times when I feel so frightened and it seems like I just can't go on, I look deep inside, 'cause that's where I find it. The power, the power, the power inside of me. Hey, you know I got the power to make all my dreams come true. I got the power, there's nothing I can't do. I got the power to be anything I want. I got the power inside of me. I got the power inside of me. I got the power inside of me. Yeah. I am so powerful. Hello, Anna.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yay. Woo-hoo. Alan, thanks for the song. And I'm glad we got to hear that second song before I got to go. That feels good.
Yes.
So I chose an article from our Science of Mind magazine, and it's about discipline and practice and changing habits because of the CSL class that I took about changing the habit of complaining by switching a purple bracelet. This one. This practice is it's based on the premise that our thoughts and words control our reality, and therefore less complaining leads to better health and better relationships and more happiness. The article I chose is from the December 2019 issue, and it's called "Discipline is the Key to Freedom." And it's by Reverend Petra Wells from CSL Dallas. How many of us dislike the word discipline? Usually it implies either punishment or sacrifice, doesn't it? There are, however, other uses for the word discipline. It also means to train oneself to do something in a controlled and habitual way. Think athletes and meditators. This is what we are each doing when we seek to reprogram our subconscious mind with affirmations, visualizations, and spiritual mind treatment. Aren't we engaging in activities that are designed to train ourselves to think and act from a spiritual viewpoint? As we learn the principles and engage in the practices of science of mind, we are studying the discipline of metaphysics. The root word of discipline is disciple, someone who follows a teacher or philosophy. So all of us, in fact, are disciples of this philosophy and this way of life. Many of us love the science of mind teachings, but only practice haphazardly. We may engage in self-awareness or practicing the presence for a period of time while reading a book or taking a class, but have you noticed how easy it is to drift away from it? In the press of our busy lives, we revert back to old patterns of thinking and ways of behaving. Why we do this, even though we know better and absolutely want to live from the spiritual principles that we believe in? The answer is simple: habit. In 1906, Thomas Troward called it grooves of thought. Today, science describes it as synapses that fire together, wire together. What can we say about habits? They are automatic, unconscious, and we want to somehow change them, even though we're comfortable in them. Maybe it's just easier to live in a habit because it's automatic and unconscious. We don't have to do the diligent work of becoming aware of the habit, deciding to change it, and then actually choosing to do something differently. The good news is that habits can be broken, or rather rewritten. Science calls this using the neuroplasticity of our brain. Ernest Holmes calls it the use of trained thought, and it can be achieved through regular spiritual practices. And there we are again, right back to discipline. Spiritual practices are only useful if we use them. For example, if I keep moving my purple bracelet from wrist to wrist each time I complain, instead of giving up and throwing it in the drawer in frustration, which I've wanted to do, I will change. This means we do our practice whether we feel like it or not, because we have decided how we want to live and we value the outcome. Let's make friends with discipline. That way, we'll never stop engaging in our spiritual practices. They'll just get more and more refined, taking us to deeper, higher, and richer levels of happiness. Thank you.
That was excellent. I loved that. And yes, practice it makes it all worthwhile. Every day. Just make it every day. Then make it every moment. Then you're flying high. All right. Okay, everyone. We are sticking to the landing. And we're welcoming. I had to read that.
I stuck it. Here I am. How are you?
To the landing, sticking to the landing. There we go.
Enjoying the morning in Kauai. Yes,
I am, and the sun just finally came out. It rained, and now the sun's out, so it's nice.
Well, thank you for the introduction, Stephanie, and hats off to Anna sticking the landing. Way to stick in there and get that reading done. That was awesome. Beautiful. And I know it takes a lot of courage to do that, to speak in public. People are terrified of it. Anna, you did fine, and you held your ground. So well done. And how about the music? Alan, thank you. I've Got the Power. Reminds me of that 80s tune. I got the power. So good morning, St. George, or wherever you are at right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are in the middle of December 2024 already. I have to say that just to ground myself and remember just how far I've come. How far have you come? And are you going with the flow, or have you been scratching and clawing your way, hanging on for dear life? Because, you know, it's we make our own heaven or hell, as we heard in our prayer, right? Heaven and hell are states of mind. And so this week we're going to talk about the flowing ground. So we're talking about going with the flow, but we're also talking about the idea of being grounded in our principles, grounded in our truth, grounded in consciousness. And the reason I say that is because quantum physics says, and quantum spirituality says, that consciousness is the ground of all being. So it begins, in essence, the source is thought, at least with creativity of what we know. And we can learn to go with the flow, go with this liquid law, so to speak, meaning our thoughts, whatever the thoughts we're casting out, this law is saying yes to, which is why it's so important what Anna just read about changing our habits, changing our patterns of behavior. If they're not working, going back to Ellen's song, there's no savior that's going to come down and guide us in essence. Okay. In other words, even because there's saviors all around us, there's the information of how to change our lives everywhere. But we have to be open to receiving it. In other words, we have to be in the flow of receiving it in order to receive it. And so that we're fluid ourselves in our thought, and we're not being hung up, stuck with this idea of hard facts. Stay with me on that. Truth is truth, yes. But just as we come to understand that thoughts are things, we have to also become aware of that we have thoughts, and things are thoughts in form, just different levels of vibration. So going back to the old adage, as we change our thinking, we change the things. So let's begin with some science of mind. Ernest Holmes says energy, consciousness, spirit is energy. Energy is eternal. The stuff out of which all forms are made is indestructible. In this vast change we live in, the flux and flow and ebb and tide of evolution, there is a constancy, a consistence. There is in the midst of all movement something which does not move, and yet which moves all things. What is that? We are talking about that which we call God or spirit. Now, I'm going to share with you that myself and Reverend Rachel had an amazing talk with Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson about science of mind and kind of where we're going. And I am just so full of that energy. And he shared a number of things with me. And one of the things that I actually received was this idea. I've heard it before, but it shifted for me. So I'm just sharing with you my growth, which is the word God or the word spirit is really just the placeholder for all that is. Does that make sense? All that is. So it's, because sometimes being raised in a Christian as a Catholic, it's still hard sometimes for my mind. The habit wants to go back to God as this one being. And how do I recognize it as all? And then how do I recognize myself as that? And again, I'm going to compliment Reverend Ray. He gave us the analogy, beautiful analogy of having a cake, right? A nice big chocolate cake. I like chocolate. And that, in essence, is God. It's all of God. So let's say it's 100% cake. This cake is cake all the way through. And if I take a piece of that cake out, okay, this piece is 100% cake. But we can't say it's 100%. It's made of cake, but it's not 100% cake. Hopefully I did that and do as well as he did. So does that make sense? So in other words, we are of God, but we're not in essence the all of Godness, all of wholeness, but we are part of wholeness, and we could not be. It could not be without us, and we could not be without it, and yet it and us, take those terms out. It's all us at this level of understanding, trying to make sense of the whole. And sometimes that is too much. And that's why it's so important. Today's talk is to sometimes just surrender and go with the flow. Not surrender as in I quit, but surrender to the truth and trust in this faith that we're moving forward. And sometimes we feel that resistance. We feel it in our individual body, or we feel it in the world body outside of ourselves, that there's just some stuff going on. And yet, as Ernest Holmes said in his quote, there's something in the middle of everything that really is it, that doesn't move yet, because it is what it is, and it is everywhere, all the same, in its fullness, all power, and yet it moves itself through consciously, through thought, in and out of form. So we can look at this, the idea that really nothing is, no thing, as in nothing, no thing is solid. We've heard this before. Things move. If you live in an earthquake zone like California, then you've had experience, most likely, of things moving that seemed very, very, very solid. I mean, we're talking about Earth's crust, right? Even at the ocean floor, the crust of the Earth shifts and moves, and it goes up and rides up each other and causes a lot of vibration, doesn't it? Causes a lot of, well, I'm going to word destruction. Things break down, and yet they become anew. So the same is true of that, things being in motion and things changing constantly with the ground of what appears to be solid in our life. Now, solid isn't always, I don't want to get stuck on things like a notebook or whatnot, or a desk, but things as in the ground of the appearances of our relationships, of our health, right? Our prosperity level, whatever have you, that is in constant motion too, and it's dictated only by our own belief in this power and presence that is all. Everything changes. It's the nature and law of the universe everywhere. But to kind of back this up, Emerson says in his essay Circles that there are no fixtures in nature. The universe is fluid and volatile. Permanence is but a word of degrees. Our world, seen by God, is a transparent law, not a mass of facts. The law dissolves the facts and holds it fluid. So what's he talking about? Meaning, like, you could say, fact of the matter is, why can't I come up with a, I have X amount of dollars in my bank account right now. That is a fact. And yet we know, given time, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go all around depending on what's happening in my life. It is therefore fluid. Okay? I am feeling great today. That could be fluid as well. Now, there's different levels, and I'm not saying I ever have to feel bad again. I'm just saying there's infinite levels of good. We can move from good to great. We can move from great to excellent, and so on. So there's I can say that I'm feeling alone. I'm sick. Those thoughts too, right? That will be dissolved as we change our level of thinking. Going back to where he says permanence is but a word of degrees, shifting degrees, vibration, right? We can break free of these old patterns. And again, thank you, Anna. That was a wonderful talk about our old patterns and our old habits. And so in Science of Mind, and particularly in the book, Science of Mind, it states, Ernest Holmes, we believe in the healing of the sick through the power of this mind. He says, we believe in the control of conditions through the power of this mind. Now, how can we say this? How can we say that we believe in the healing of the sick and the controlling of conditions? When we say control of conditions, I do want to break that down. They're saying, we're not saying exactly how it happens. We always know that change is going to be for our best and highest good. But we know this because we recognize that it's all part of that same cake. No matter what it looks like, this particular piece of experience that I'm pulling out, that I'm experiencing now, is still part of the whole. So my interpretation of it in this moment could be X, Y, and Z. Maybe that's a negative. So maybe I'm experiencing a diagnosis of cancer. Cancer is not of the same level of wellness as, right, our normal conditions of balance and harmony within our body. We know that harmony is truth, that the law operates without any effort at all. It is whole. It is perfect. It is health. It knows nothing of disease. So as I recognize the truth of that, this diagnosis, this cancer technically has no power of truth, and therefore I'm just opening my mind to the wellness of the whole cake, that there's nothing missing within this cake. You can make it pie if you want, right? Then my body understands this message. See, our cells already know this. Our cells are just aligned with the divine all the time until and unless we train them not to be. So practitioners, or spiritual coaches, as I like to call them for a more modern term, understand they're trained to recognize that all, no matter what it looks like, is the truth of God, of spirit. Once again, what is that? That's the word that we use to understand the whole of our life. Ernest Holmes about practitioners. He says, a practitioner of this science should not be confused over any given form, but should know that any form which is not of the original harmony is subject to change. Now, we're all practitioners in the sense of we are practicing science of mind. If you've been here long enough, that's what practitioner means. We are practicing this science of mind. What is science of mind? Science of mind is the understanding, again, of the wholeness of life, that there's nothing outside of that which we call God. It's all one. It comes in perfect form, wholeness at every point. When we recognize that truth that Yeshua said, I and the Father, that was his interpretation of the creative power, I and the Father are one. So if all of that is this cake of holiness, of perfection, of worthiness, there's no question of worth when you're all there that is. So is there any question of wellness? Is there any question of love, of joy, of depth? You know you're all that. We have access to all those qualities, and yet we have also this thing called free will, where we can kind of turn up the resistance, turn down the feeling nature of being whole through this experience we call life. Okay, so healing is simply really a spiritual realization that it's happening right here, right now. Now, I believe that other faiths that heal and they believe in a God outside of themselves, I think it comes down to the true intention of who you are and what you believe. And if you believe that good is at hand, whether you call it through Yeshua or whether you call it through God or spirit or any other name, we're still talking about the wholeness, right? The idea and understanding of pure health, of pure love, of pure power. So for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, right? There is an equal and opposite reaction. Equal means, well, in this state, according to our beliefs. So we could be asking for our ground of being to change, but we have to be open to it, see ourselves worthy of it. Okay, the analogy just popped into my head. I don't know why. I'm going to share it with you, but it's kind of like saying, I want my friends to come visit me, and then I'm seeing like an open parking space. So we have to make room for it, for things to come into our lives. Otherwise, if our lot is full, our mind, then we're not going. We're just talking. And we're not really expecting. We're not really aligning with truth and the ground of all being. You know, we don't change things by fighting things, by resisting. We change things, as Buckminster Fuller says quite often. He says to change something, we have to build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. You have to build a new mental model in order to change current conditions. That's why they stick around so long. Even when we don't want them, it's we haven't created what we want. as a model. So how is Spirit going to say yes to this when we haven't really clarified what this is? We know what we don't want real well. We can define that with down to microscopic level. But what is it that we want? What needs to happen instead? Well, I can't because of this. Well, then what could happen to allow this thing, to allow prosperity into our lives? Well, I could get a new job, and then we go, and we negate it. Well, I want more love in my life, but I keep trying, but no one's responding to my online ad, but, and we just resist and we block. Surrendering, meaning, okay, I trust in this power that is greater than me, that I am, but there's a greater understanding of it in itself. I give up myself trying to figure this out and give it up to my bigger self that has this wider, more encompassing understanding and view of the situation, and allow that to guide me, to go with that flow. Visioning is a great way of kind of, when we're stuck, to ask these bigger questions of what is the bigger part of me looking to experience? What is the godliness within me wanting to express? Changing things in this mentally, I think about it like when I used to play with Legos. I would build something, and sometimes I wouldn't even know what it was. I'd just start building, and that's okay. And I build, change this, don't like this color. Whoa, what is that? And well, no. And what do we get to do? We get to change things as we either we like it, and then we want to do something different. That's okay. We like it, and we realize, we saw someone else do something, and I want to incorporate that into my life. So I want to build that too. So we create a mental mold here first, and then I let my fingers do the work, and it comes up. There was a time when I was young when there were only Lego blocks. They were rectangular or square. There were no curves. There were no nice little windows you put in there now and so forth. And still, our imagination, we had a car that didn't quite look like a car but we, in our mind, held the imagination. And guess what? Eventually, now we have Lego cars. We have Legos that build everything from spaceships and on and on. Same idea, though. We held the mind long enough. We held that want. I really like a Lego that has a curve to it. Boom. First in mind, then in form. When we go within ourselves and take a breath, be quiet, and just let our minds go, and we can simply ask a question. What's the best way for me to fill in the blank, to feel better? And then just sit with that and see what comes up. And your mind's going to wander. That's okay. Let it. Don't make it wrong. It's going to get distracted. Let it. Don't make it wrong. But if we do this long enough, we begin to commune with that voice that is ever present. Always. That is the power that is always present in everything, that knows all, that is all. And as we tap into this, we are never anti anything. This presence, this power within that beats our heart, that breathes our breath, because it's us, okay, is what we're looking to experience in every experience. Does that make sense? In his famous speech, The Sermon by the Sea, Ernest Holmes says, "Find me one person who is for something and against nothing, who is redeemed enough not to condemn others out of the burden of their soul, and I will find another Savior, another Jesus, and an exalted human being." So what is he saying? Find me one person who has given themselves fully to the power and the presence, to this process. It released the idea of perfection, meaning I get it right every time, and switch it over to this idea that every time I try with good intention, it's perfect. Even when I screw things up. Why is it always perfect? Because there's nothing outside of God. It's just one try that I've tried and it didn't work out. And now I have the power and the presence of mind to make a change. that is perfect. That is the perfect scenario. That is the perfect process. Now, as we're going within, sometimes we'll find ourselves thinking about what we don't want. Emma Curtis Hopkins, she would go often in her affirmative prayer and have a part for denials. And we do not practice that regularly in Science of Mind. So in other words, I would say, I am perfect health. I am perfect peace. Emma, because we recognize we're human beings, I'm like, well, how do I ignore my sniffling, draining nose? I would say, but this nose cold has no power over me. So she would work at denying what was. Now, whether you do that or not, I don't know whether it's good or bad. What I do know is, for me, I like to just focus on the good unless my mind just is having trouble releasing it. And then sometimes I do get back to my place of power, denying what I've given power to. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So now that we recognize what we don't want, are we ready for a new way of being? Are we ready for a new vision? Are you ready to start building a new model, mental model, which makes the old model obsolete? When we create a new vision, a new mold, bring up the term again, Science of Mind term, a mental equivalent. What do I want to be and see? Then this law, this fluid law, what is this law? Just think of the law as the movement part of God. It's the part that gets things done, in essence. In Science of Mind, well, I'm going to teach that in a minute, so make sure I have enough time here. I want to move through. I'll get back to it. Hang in with me. Dennis Merritt Jones, Reverend, he says, energy in any form will follow the path of least resistance. This is important. Passion, mentioned this last week, is energy that naturally follows that path, because when you are doing that thing you love to do, you are in the flow. You are not pushing energy. You are being effortlessly lifted and pulled by it. So that's the reason why we want to be in this flow, because we're trusting, and when we're in that flow, it's the energy that is, again, just takes us there. Okay, that the infinite mind knows how best, absolutely, to align you with your new mates, to have more money flow into your life, to have more happiness flow into your life, to fill in the blank, to release. Are you having trouble releasing something? Open our minds to this, pray about it, let go. Practice. If we're still not feeling it, then we come back to ground one. But what do they say? With ease and grace, everything will happen. Look at nature. It all grows with ease and grace. Okay? We resist sometimes, part of where we're at in human times, but we're also moving through. Some of the hard facts that we have to learn to acknowledge are things like genetics, diagnoses from people that we give power to, like doctors, whether they're doctors over medicine, whether they're counselors sometimes, and I am a counselor, whether it's a counselor over mental health or a counselor over your finances. We get caught up in what they say as their truth must be our truth, or they have all these facts and therefore it can't be changed. If we're going to go with the flow, and I'm not saying to ignore smart people, I'm saying to take things within yourselves and see if it works for you. You know what? What happens if it is the best thing for me and I say no to it? Well, then I trust in that divine intelligence to bring it back towards me, because that is the pathway of least resistance. That's why when we talk about things keep showing up in your lives, the same thing, that maybe we should pay attention to it. That's life. That's spirit saying, hey, I'm working for you here. Okay, open up a parking space for me and allow me to come in. That's why it's so important to pause and to examine what's going on inside of us, what our real thoughts are, and so on. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the time. Sorry, we're having. Yes, so one of the important points to understand is that all that we're talking about, every aspect, every experience, is the life and presence of spirit. No, we are being that. We are that. It's a shift, and I still work on sometimes the way there's just one thing happening, and it's God is the totality of all that's happening, and God is bigger than all that it's ever created because God is an infinite. Sometimes spirit, us, we are in form, and sometimes we're not. Think about it. Sometimes we're just in mind. And then all of a sudden, if you've ever meditated long enough, you kind of get out of your body. It's a fact, I have a body. It's also a fact that I am not just my body. My body is a part of this vibration of my expression of my beingness, but who I am is consciousness. We are conscious beings. Releasing the how. We get caught up. We don't want to go with the flow because we don't trust, because we think somehow we know better. Now, we may know best, but that still doesn't mean that there isn't a higher level of knowing than what we know. So let the ego go a little bit. Ask ourselves, man, even if I think this is the only way, there could be another way. Life is infinite. There could be another way. So our job is to focus on making that mental mold. What is the perfect experience? Give yourself the gift this year of time to create a mold for something that you want to experience, and go back and refine it every day, or at least once a week. If it matters to you, you're going to enjoy the process of describing the experience that you want to have. And we pray about it. Now, Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith says, we pray not to make things happen, but to make God welcome. So that goes back really now to the analogy that I had of this parking space, of opening it up. God's already present, the fullness of God. We're here, we're this piece of God, piece of cake, and what do we want it to look like? What do we want it to feel like? Our community, in essence, is a vision in process right now. We are creating a mold for that. We are, and we will be doing this together next month. Pay attention to your email newsletters, where we're going to be doing some visioning together. There's a process that we use to come together as a community, because there's power in numbers, right? And to create the experience that we would like to have for us and for the future people that don't even know about us yet. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Who are we serving? How does it feel to serve? One of the new terms we're going to be shifting to, and Reverend Rachel brought it to my attention, and I don't want to steal her thunder, but instead of using the word volunteers, some other centers use the word investors, because we're investing into the vision, into the community, right? We're not giving up, because when we invest, we're getting back as well. We are going together to continue to create a mold. This mold is not finite, because the mold will shift. Why? Because we're going to create a mold to do X, and then all of a sudden we're going to find ourselves at X. Now we need a bigger mold. And that's okay. In Living Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes says the spirit is both an overdwelling and an indwelling presence. We are immersed in it, and it flows through us as our very life. Now, I want to bring to your attention, and I have a slide for it, but I'm going to show it as well. Our teaching experience, our teaching symbol. This is the teaching symbol. And I've had some questions about it lately, so I'm going to do a 2-minute example of what this is. The circle represents, in essence, the infinite presence of the divine. Everything is within the divine, within God itself. Now, there are no borders. This is for our mental understanding. Now, if you look, I got to move that down. There we go. The V, what does that V stand for? Well, this V stands for, first of all, this is all consciousness. And notice there's 3 levels. We break this down for ourselves. It's still all God, but we break it up to our understanding. The top level, as you can see there, is conscious cause or spirit, meaning everything starts with thought. Now, the middle ground, as spirit descends in vibration in consciousness, we have this middle ground we like to call law. Okay, or Ernest Holmes calls it soul. Don't get caught up in the words. So this is the seed of thought. We plant the seed, what our thought is, in the law, in the soil. The soil says what to everything? The soil says yes. If I plant a tomato seed, the soil doesn't say, Joe, I don't want tomato seeds today. I would rather have oranges. No, it just says yes. Why? Because it is us and it loves us because we are it. And then as we descend in consciousness into form, this third part is the world of effects. So what is the effect? If I plant a seed in good soil, what I mean by good is if it's our mind of God is perfect. Our mind, we have to say yes to it as well. We have to see ourselves as receiving. We have to be willing to go with the flow during this stage. We can't control it. If we dig up that seed in that soil every day, it's going to die. If we don't visit and continue to make our mold and trust that the soil, God is doing its thing perfectly, then it's going to die as well. It'll never show up. And then we get the plant. The form is the plant. This is the effect. You want to learn even more about this? Take the next foundations class. But this is the teaching symbol. There's nice pins on here. This is a recognition that spirit comes down in essence. It's not really moving, but as we in thought comes down to form. And then, of course, what do we say today? Everything changes. So therefore, it goes back up and becomes. So it comes into form. The form dissolves back into what? Into what it was in the first place. Consciousness. Boom. I hope I did that justice. Knowing that there's a process. That's why I wanted to show it to you. There it is on your screen. There's a process that we understand how to change our life. How to not only change our life, but how to change life individually as well as globally. One of the things we can work on is to look at our level of believing. Again, what is our willingness to receive? Because God's already got it, right? It's like an infinite storehouse, right? And I place my order. I understand Amazon's going to deliver it, and it comes. But if in the middle, I get confused of my thought, sometimes our thought changes. And this is why it's good not to have instantaneous thought, the things that show up in form immediately. Because I'm like, oh, I want this. And then 5 minutes later, it's like, oh, no, I don't want that. That's horrible for me. So we have this beloved time of creating. Ooh, there's a lot that we learned today. So in essence, we are conscious beings. We recognize that there is a way, a process, but a way, a path, process of creating, of changing our lives. That change is always going to happen. The way we navigate change is what matters. Are we trusting and believing in an infinite presence that is love, not only loves us, but is love itself? Hear that. We don't believe that God loves, it does, but that God is love and that we're already in that and that is available. And if you say, no, it's not, then you're putting power in facts that have shown up. They're real to you in the moment, but I promise you, the more that we shift our attention, maybe we have to shift ourselves if we're in a very negative relationship. Okay, we don't believe in being abused and staying in that abusive relationship. You try to do your thing to work it out, and then you take care of yourself. We're not ignoring facts of harm. If you have a broken arm, you get that cared for medically. You don't just pray on it. Okay? That still is a fact. That is a life and death fact. Okay? But in the process, are we opening ourselves to this infinite love, this infinite joy, this infinite beingness in every experience? That is the understanding of Christ consciousness that we celebrate at Christmas and what we believe Yeshua was teaching. And we share that because it's Christmas time. All the masters that we follow, and some that we don't even know of, they all teach from a place of love. Whether it's Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., they come from love as not just something to give, but that love is. Go with the flow. Try it this week. Pick a condition, pick a situation, know what you want. Instead, it's okay to know what you don't want, but then spend time defining, making a mold for what you want. All right, our affirmation. Ooh, there's a good one to practice. I am the thought, the thing, and everything in between. I am consciousness flowing into and out of perfect expression. And so as we close this in prayer, and I'm going to keep it short because I'm watching the time. And what do I need to know? I need to know that everything is perfect and whole in this moment. That CSL St. George is perfect as it is, and yet we are continuing together to expand the mold of what it looks like. We can define the things we like, we can define the things we don't like, but we put this perfect new vision ahead. We've done this as a leadership. We opened it to the community, and we are just going with divine flow, recognizing that we don't have to figure out the how, whether it's our new physical dwelling, whether it's our indwellingness, that we are working with each other. It doesn't mean we always agree. That's okay too. There's many different flavors of cake, but we recognize that we are all pieces of one perfect, whole, and complete cake. It is love. It is joy. It is who we are. And so it is. Amen. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Joe. That was an excellent, excellent sermon. Yes, I enjoyed it thoroughly. Resistance, I had to make friends with.
Yes.
Had to make friends with, because it actually is something that I desired in spirit to know, is that I came here to learn what it was like not to be something, so that I could, but then I started believing it. And so resistance helps me discover those old beliefs that I can let go of. And
resistance is helpful. It's information.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Guideposts. Yep. Thank you.
All right. Okay, everyone, here we go. We're going into some announcements. Our next in-person service is December 22nd, the Incredible Light of Being. Details are in your newsletter and on our website. Prayer request. Our practitioners want to support you in prayer. Email practitioners for prayer at CSLStGeorge.org about. And those details are also in the newsletter. We have a community event, the Winter Solstice Gathering at Kayenta Labyrinth, December 21st at 4 to 6 p.m. Bring a chair, a musical instrument, and limiting thoughts you want to release. And those details are also on our website and in the newsletter. And I've been to one of these, and they're really great, a great way for community to come together. You are invited to apply for Centers for Spiritual Living St. George Core Council. We are accepting applications now. Speak to any council member for more information. Okay, our Zoom conversation today is at noon. You can email your comments to Reverend Joe at cslstgeorge.org. Join us. It's a beautiful way to discuss anything that you might have on your mind about today's talk. And I wish I could be there, but I cannot. And but please join. Okay, abundant prosperity. We can give with Zelle, see our newsletter for instructions, or we can give online. We have a PayPal link at CSLSG.org, or use the QR code right here in the corner. You can give by mail, you can send checks, and there's our address at the bottom there. Our upcoming Sundays, December 22nd, in person, The Incredible Light of Being with Reverend Rachel Dilling. And I also hear that Reverend Joe will be there. So come and join both of them. And December 29th, Expanding at the Top. Our practitioners plugged in, and yes, I'm getting ready for that too. So we're going to have a wonderful couple of upcoming Sundays. Okay, she's going to bring everybody on, and here we go with our closing affirmations for today.
Before we do that, because I guess the slide didn't get in, I want to let everybody know next week after service, we're going to have a potluck and we're going to do some songs, not just Christmas songs, but songs that celebrate light, because that's what the focus of the talk is. Yes, I will be coming up there. And if all goes well, my son will be there as well. That's why we won't be, unfortunately, at the Saturday solstice, but we will be up for Sunday. Looking forward to it. So, some more opportunity for the community to join together outside of typical service, just have some fun. Feel free to bring an offering of food or drink or something, delight. And we hope to see you, and we hope to have the biggest crowd in a long time.
All right, here we go. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
Life is my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all that I do.
I am it, I embrace it, and I share it just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is becoming. Thank you.
Bye.
Right.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Don't forget the Zoom.
Go with the flow.